Alright guys, beta 3 for patch 3.0 just dropped, and oh boy, some big changes are in the air, from RMC to Aglaya and of course the Herta. And guess what? Today we're diving straight into the Herta's rework. Now, don't worry, I'll cover the other characters in another video. So yeah, hit that subscribe button if you don't want to miss out on those updates, seriously. Trust me on this, you're gonna want to know. Alright, let's talk about the biggest surprise here, the Herta. I thought Hoyoverse was 100% gonna nerf her, but nope, they looked at her and said, you're getting a glow up. So, is she overpowered now, or are these changes just balancing things out? Let's break it down together. First up, her ultimate. Let me tell you, this thing got a proper buff. Before beta 3, rearranged interpretation stacks dealt 200% ice damage to all enemies. Boosted her attack by 64% for 2 turns. Instant action and inspiration gain. After beta 3, still rearranges stacks, no change there. Damage stays at 200%, so that's consistent. But now her 80k buff goes from 64% to 80% and lasts 3 turns instead of 2. Why does this matter? Well, 80% 80k for 3 turns is huge, especially when you're stacking inspiration to enhance her skill. It means Herta's damage ceiling shoots up massively. That extra turn gives her more uptime for her buff, so now she's outputting consistent high numbers. Oh, and she still takes instant action after her ultimate, so you hit hard and you hit fast. You gotta love it. Now let's talk about her talent, because this is where a lot of players started scratching their heads. Before beta 3, every interpretation stack boosted damage by 8% on the primary target and 5% for others. If you ran 2 Erudition characters, you'd get an extra boost. After beta 3, multiplier is now 8% for the primary target and 4% for others. The rest is pretty much the same, but they tweaked the wording for clarity. Now, on the surface this looks like a nerf, right? Wait, 5% drop to 4%? But let's be real, this slight drop isn't hurting her much. Why? Because the primary focus is still on her main target with the 8% bonus. If you're running 2 Erudition units, you'll still get those big scaling rank bonuses. The real improvement comes from how her enhanced skill resets stacks. It now ensures her damage stays focused on priority enemies, perfect for taking down bosses or elites. Okay, her technique got a rework, and this is where we see a shift from broad AoE spam to focused targeting. Before beta 3, applied 4 stacks of interpretation to all enemies at the start of the wave. Boosted her 80k by 40% for 2 turns. Marked treasures and dealt true damage in simulated universe after beta 3. Still boosts 80k by 40% for 2 turns, no change there. But now it applies 25 stacks to 1 random enemy, prioritizing elites or rarer targets. Why is this better? Well, if you're running SU or Divergent Universe, you're probably more concerned about elites anyway. Instead of spreading out those stacks across trash mobs, Herta now laser focuses on a single high-value target. The treasure marking is still there. Shout out to map completionists. And she keeps that true damage scaling based on HP, so for anyone grinding SU, this rework is an absolute win. Now for her traces, and these little tweaks are where Herta really shines with higher investments. Before beta 3, key trace, crit DMG boost of 80% if 2 Erudition characters were in the team. Interpretation stacks applied on hit targets. After beta 3, crit DMG boost stays the same. 80% is huge. But now, after attacking, she applies 2 extra stacks to targets if they're also on the path of Erudition. This subtle change is actually a big deal for team synergies. If you're stacking Erudition characters, Herta's stacking potential just doubled. More stacks, more damage scaling, simple as that. Alright, let's talk Eidolons, because these changes might have slipped under your radar. E1 before. Calculated 30% of stacks on the skills target and nearby enemies. E1 after. Same stack calculation. But now, if the target has 10 or more stacks, it resets to 10 instead of wiping them entirely. This makes her enhanced skill way more consistent. You won't waste stacks anymore. It's all about maintaining that sweet damage potential, E2. Before, you'd gain inspiration once stacks at 42. Now, you also get an action advance of 15 to 25%. You hear that? Herta's basically speed running her turns. Combine this with her ultimate and she's constantly cycling through her skills while stacking buffs. E6. Oh man, this one's wild. Before, her ultimate's multiplier capped at 396%. Now, if there's only one target left, her multiplier jumps to 400%. Add in the 20% ice resistance penetration and Herta's ultimate becomes a boss melting nuke. Like seriously, bosses better start running. So, what's the verdict here? Is Herta busted now? Honestly, these changes are exactly what she needed. Before, Herta was fine at low investments, but at higher levels she fell behind the likes of Acheron or Firefly. Her vertical scaling just wasn't enough to keep up with power creep. But now, her ultimate scales better with longer fights. Her Eidolons make her smoother and faster in combat. And her technique is perfect for targeted damage in high-level content. If you're building Herta, especially at E1 or E2, she's absolutely worth investing in now. High investment runs are finally looking competitive. Quick recap for the lazy folks. Ultimate, longer ATK buff and consistent uptime. Talent tweaked for better balance and focus. Technique, more targeted damage for elites. Traces, Eidolons, buffed for synergy and scaling. And that's the Herta rework for Beta 3. What do you guys think? Buff or balance? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you wanna see Herta in action, check out my previous videos, links in the description. It really helps me out if you like, share and subscribe. You know the drill? Alright, I'm off to grind some Stellar Jade. Until next time, thanks for watching, peace out.
回来，大球球冰了，二球球敲，三球球菜肴，四球球熬，五球球莫名死掉，六球球抬，七球球闷着头挖坑，八球球奶奶。